Welcome back. It is 12:33. We have some breaking news as we take a view from Sky Fox, which is over the Little Village neighborhood right now. A protest unfolding. We can see from this vantage point the crowd holding Mexican flags and signs. They are protesting the Trump administration's crackdown on immigration. And this is the same neighborhood. And perhaps this is no coincidence. This is happening right during the federal hearing of Customs and Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bovino, which just let out. That's the neighborhood where he himself appeared in that video deploying tear gas on a crowd as well.
Yeah, that happened over the weekend. Looks like there's a significant number of people there. We'll continue to monitor this protest, but we also want to kind of update you on what has transpired over the morning. The head of U.S. Border Patrol, Gregory Bovino, as Anthony stated, reported to federal court this morning here in Chicago. This is video of him arriving. Judge Sarah Ellis asked pointed questions about incidents where agents used tear gas on crowds like the one Friday in Old Irving Park that unfolded near a Halloween parade filled with children. Judge Ellis has ordered Bovino to report to her daily at 6 p.m. to detail any further use of force. This all stems from a temporary restraining order that was issued in a lawsuit filed by a group of journalists.
Yeah, there have been a couple of complaints, and we are joined this afternoon by law professor from Kent, Carolyn Shapiro, to break down kind of what happened in court today. Carolyn, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so we have been reporting this morning that the judge is putting some new parameters on Gregory Bovino here. What is your reaction to what was decided today in that hearing?
Well, she didn't decide a lot. She asked him a lot of questions. She made it clear to him at the outset that she expected him to understand and follow the temporary restraining order that she had issued, and she went over it, parts of it, sentence by sentence, line by line. I should add, I wasn't in the courtroom. I'm relying on other reporting for this information, but she was very serious about making sure that he understood what is required. And one thing I have to say I found really quite shocking is that she had said that all of these agents have to have body cameras on. And when she asked him if he had a body camera when he's been out on the street, he said no, he doesn't. He doesn't have a body camera, and he hasn't been trained yet in how to use a body camera. He's a named defendant. He's not just any agent. He's actually a defendant in this lawsuit. So the fact that a week later, or more than a week later, so a couple weeks later, he hasn't actually complied with that basic part of the TRO struck me as surprising.
So what happens if all of those points that were made today by the judge are not followed through with? What happens next?
Well, it depends, I think, on what exactly it means to not follow through. But she has the power to hold members of the government in contempt if they don't obey court order. So what exactly that would look like may depend very much on what exactly happens, on her belief or whether or not she's satisfied that there have been good faith efforts made to comply, and that perhaps some moments were not were more could be understood in other ways. But she did say that she was very skeptical about the use of tear gas, the way the federal agents have been using tear gas, and that she, although was not granting the plaintiff's new motion to bar its use altogether, she might do so in the future. So that's one thing that she might do, is to take away some of the tools that these agents are currently using.
I know I'm jumping 2 steps ahead, but with that possibility that you mentioned of the judge finding Bovino and his team in contempt of court, what could happen after that?
There are so many variables here. It depends on what the judge orders, whether she and what kind of contempt she concludes is appropriate, whether it's civil contempt or criminal contempt. There have been lots of questions raised about what happens if the federal marshals, who are the ones who generally enforce court orders refuse to do so because they are, at least in part, member of the executive branch. But we don't entirely know. There are just too many variables to say at this point. But one thing I'll say is that we've heard the view that from Stephen Miller in the White House that these agents have immunity, and from a DOJ lawyer that there's no criminal liability at the state level, and that's just not true. If these agents commit crimes under state law and in doing so are violating a federal court order, I think they're quite vulnerable to state criminal prosecution.
All right, Attorney Caroline Shapiro, thank you for your time today.
Thank you.